That works.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I'm not getting any notes on what this show's about, so I guess I'm going to have to phone my good friend, the magician's assistant. Here we go.
You have reached the magician's assistant. If this is the Enlightened one, today's episode is
The Aurora Mystery.
Oh, there you go. It's all about the Aurora mysteries. I knew that. Oh, wow. Where was my head?
wow. He's really getting good with that phone. Do you think?
Your buddy, the magician's assistant, not so much. He lets it go to
No, he's
voicemail every single time. Welcome, everyone, to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I am one of your hosts. I am the patron saint of professional wrestling. I'm that gingered up, bubbly, paranormal son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
Oh, I love that intro. It really, really built up there. I'm impressed. And of course, I am the magician. This is the only paranormal show made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans.
But we also want to say hello to Noob. How you doing,
Hello,
buddy?
noob. Always in every show.
Noob is
Absolutely love it.
he's so faithful in watching every single show. He's there, rain or shine, snow or sleet. He's like a mailman, I tell you what. What do we have on the show today?
Well, of course, we've got a lovely little bull or truth from our good friend Mr. Isaacs. We're going to travel around for the Galaxy news, and I do believe we've got something in the vault. Am I correct?
We do. I don't know what it is, but let's check. It looks like it's time to open up the vault.
Do you know the combination? And of course, this is the part of the show where we take a deep dive into the vault. We never know what's in there, right? Do we? So, what's in the vault this week?
Okay, so we got a bowl of tomato soup and a half-eaten grilled cheese sandwich. Um, I'm gonna take that out of there just because we don't know how long it's been sitting. I'm not gonna eat that, trust me. But we're just gonna take that away because we don't. That's not very sanitary.
No, no, we don't want that. But
I
no,
don't know who put that in there. It's not a microwave.
it's not the enlightened ones, is it?
I don't know. It could be the magician's assistants. Could be the enlightened one. Who knows? We've got a bunch of crazy interns that work in here as well.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So I was looking around in the vault after I cleaned that up, and I came across this.
What the hell is going off the air?
It looks like a floating platform.
Yes, it's like is that like a tree type thing on the top?
Yeah, it looks like there's a tree there. And there's been no, I guarantee you, there's been no editing, nothing that's been changed about this picture. This is 100% pure natural.
That looks weird. It's like a tree type thing floating.
Yeah, it's like a patch of dirt that's just floating in the air with grass growing on it.
Mm.
Almost like a video game platform where you jump to.
Oh yeah, like a Donkey Kong type thing.
Yes.
What a game, by the way.
Donkey Kong Jr. was my favorite back when I was a young lad.
Yes, well, there was a classic game there.
All right, so I'm gonna have to reveal to you the truth about this picture.
Okay.
Okay, there's been no editing to it, but there has been something done to it.
Okay.
It's been turned upside down.
Oh my god.
The exact same picture.
Damn it.
It's funny when you look at something like that and you put it upside down, it changes the whole outlook on it, right?
Yeah, that's.
It's like two
I kn-
different pictures.
but this all the image has just been done has just been like flipped upside down.
Yeah. So yeah, no
Dear.
editing has been done to that picture. But that's the fun thing. It's like not everything is as it seems, right? Not everything's 100% paranormal. Things can just be messing with your head sometimes.
That's true. You could obviously say that in life as well.
Absolutely. Um, that brings us to this segment. What do we got next?
And should we travel around the galaxy?
I think we will. I
Let's
got my
do it.
pilot's license. And we're good to go.
And this is your co-pilot speaking. Please be warned there is a slight turbulence on the upright, so do go steady when you obviously stand up and go to the loo.
Now, for those not in the UK, what is the loo?
It's a toilet.
Yes, I knew that, but sometimes people don't know that British slang.
British slang. Oh man, we could have a full episode just on that.
Oh yeah, I know what a cop is called in British slang.
What is?
A flatfoot.
No, we call them a lot worse than that, but we're not going
No,
to
but
say that on.
that's a nice way of saying it, right?
Yes, that is a nice way, but we don't call them that. We call them a lot worse than that.
Like what?
Can we just move on? Can we just
Okay,
move on?
we'll move on. So what do we got in the news today?
Right, so we've obviously got some big stories now. We have to start with some sad news, unfortunately. This week, we sadly lost probably one of the most, I don't want to say the biggest wrestler in the tag team division ever, Jay Briscoe. This really hit me so much.
Yeah, and we're gonna kind of dedicate the rest of the show to him. Jamin, I can't even pronounce his real name. Jamin Pew. I
Jamin
don't know.
Pugh.
I just call him Jay Briscoe.
Hmm.
I'll be a Mark fan. I don't care. But what's interesting about this is like one of the very first times in North America that a champion has died.
Yeah.
Like that's very rare. It's happened in Japan a few times, but not so much in North America. I can't even think of the last time a champion died.
No, it hit me so much because obviously it was Wednesday morning. I woke up and I checked our AFW chat, which obviously you can join that, people, if you want to. And I just saw so many pictures of Jay Briscoe, and I'm like, what is going on? So immediately I turned to obviously social media, and then it's like, oh wow. And it does hit you like a ton of bricks because it's like,
Yeah.
even though, I mean, obviously we'll get into this later on or probably tomorrow, but even though he did say some pretty harsh comments, I mean, obviously I showed you the video with Simon Miller, which made a valid point.
Okay, so he made a mistake years ago, and he said some bigoted comment. But we've all made mistakes. We've all said something stupid that we regret, and we're always given the opportunity to correct ourselves.
Hmm.
And eventually, everyone forgets about it. But when you're on a bigger stage, it's not as easy, right?
No, it's not. But with just the fact that he went out of his way to apologize and learn from it. And I think the key word there is learn from it.
Yeah, he had a lot of uh, gay friends in the wrestling industry who supported him. And
Hmm.
they all loved Jay Briscoe, and they had nothing but kind words about him.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, what's your opinion? Obviously, with Warner, obviously they declined the tribute show. Tony Khan's obviously putting it out on a free.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Ring of Honor network that the people are buying their app, and then a little bit later it'll also be on the YouTube channel for Ring of Honor as well. That main event of that show is Christopher Daniels versus Claudio Castagnoli.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen fan footage, from the actual show, and it's really, really good. I mean, I'm just going to say that I'm actually looking forward to see, because if you remember, it was such short notice.
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, like I understand from Time Warner's perspective because they're a business. They don't think like humans do. They think like an entity does.
Mm-hmm.
Is this good for our entity? Will this make our entity be better or worse? And that's just how they think. They don't think emotionally. How would this affect the family? How could we? They don't think like that. They just think dollars and cents, and that's all it is. So I understand from that perspective, but at a human perspective, I don't understand. So you
No.
kind of gotta balance it when you view it, right?
Mm-hmm. One last thing, obviously, on this little section here. What's one moment which sticks out for you when it comes to Briscoe?
Definitely, their last match was pretty amazing. With winning those ROH titles, their bloodbath. They 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 stole the show that night, and that was the best match on the card, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know if you've seen the footage of Jay Briscoe um, teaching, not teaching, but just doing some cheerleading with his daughter.
Yes, I have seen it. It's so cute because you just do not imagine, somebody, because in the ring, I mean, he's very physical. We know what his style's like, and just to see him outside the ring, it's just so. Makes you smile. When you think about it?
So yeah,
Yeah,
Noob says Warner Discovery don't even want to air the tribute show, which is uncalled for. Yeah, you got to understand it though. It's a tough pill to swallow.
yeah. But I think the next ROH show will be a tribute to obviously Jay as well. So
That this just blew my mind.
yeah, I've seen that a few times. It really
Jay
does.
Briscoe both had dog collar matches before they died.
Really, really.
That is
Yeah,
crazy. So
that
the
is
answer is
weird.
don't get involved in a dog collar match.
Oh dear, but yeah, as obviously we mentioned there, obviously Sunday's show will be a full tribute show. Obviously, we've got so much lined up. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but stay tuned for
Yes,
that.
that's right. This Sunday on the All Left in Wrestling show, we're combining with the magic of wrestling to put on a tribute show to Jay Briscoe, and we're going to do our best to just honor him, and uh, it should be fun.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And of course, our thoughts and prayers obviously go to every single family member, and I do hope his daughter does pull through.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest things for this was his kids were in the car, and they both had Silverados, and the other person was coming the wrong way, so it was a head-on collision. Just I don't hope it wasn't alcohol or, could have just been on the phone because it didn't make sense.
No, it does not. But like I said, as long as he pulls through, That's all I want for the moment right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, we shall move along now. I want to talk about Miro, which is kind of interesting. Now, according to reports, he declined a storyline. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah. So he declined a storyline um, where that would lead him to the pay per view, the last pay per view,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which was his Full Gear. Yeah.
Yes, he was.
And so he was supposed to lose at Full Gear.
Yeah,
And according to Dave Meltzer, he decided that this wasn't for him because he didn't want to put this particular individual over.
right. So
This is from Meltzer. This isn't fact. This is just what he thinks happened.
do you want me to quote what he's got? Because I've got it here.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so it says in September they came to him, Tony Khan came to Miro, and he had this idea that he would build a match on the November pay-per-view, the November 19th pay-per-view, and he didn't want to do it. It has involved some people. It's weird. A lot of people who came from WWE are very, very leery. Obviously, Brian Danielson being the exception about doing jobs. And then it became very difficult to book when you don't really want to do programs when you're going to lose. I kind of get that. Obviously, no wrestler wants to lose, but he's still technically employed by AEW. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I'm buying this. This seems kind of fishy to me.
How so?
Well, it's just like they're professionals.
Yeah.
Like they've been doing this for a long time. How many times did Miro lose in WWE? Like he was lost to a lot of people.
Especially when he was part of the what's the one with all like the different nations?
The what they called the I don't know. I forget. The League of Nations.
That's correct. So yeah, so you know which one I'm on about then, yeah. I mean, they must have
Yeah.
lost.
So they and even at the end, he lost a lot to Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. So do you think this is just Miro being typical Miro, wanting to get out of his
Well,
contract?
like we said, I don't know if this is true.
Well, it's
Like
Dave Meltzer.
this is Meltzer. We got to remember. Like this is like a story like this is good for Meltzer, not necessarily good for wrestling, right?
Yeah, I mean, but if you obviously I want to balance both sides here, but we've not seen Miro on TV for God knows how long.
Yeah. So it could be the person he was going to lose to. He was going to make a star, maybe, and he
Good.
didn't want to lower his star.
So that being said, who do you think the person is?
Oh, I have no clue who they would have put Miro against.
Look at it in this perspective. Who would they want to build up?
I don't know, maybe Darby. I don't know, but they already had a sort of something going on, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the
I
only
have
person
no
who's
clue who it would have been. What do you think?
even.
Any
I
ideas?
think I was going to say Ricky Starks.
Oh, and just start that earlier than they did.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay.
But where does this leave Miro now? What happens?
Uh Hopefully they can work something out. And we'll find out. Like, 'cause he's not gonna take if this isn't true. Miro's not gonna let this just say this shit, right?
No, we know what Miro's like.
Yeah, we're not. If this isn't true, we'll hear some sort of rebuttal. And if this wasn't true, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, I think I would. So I think this is one of them stories where we're just going to have to just see what happens and let it pan out. So,
For sure.
right. So we've obviously got the next story we've got is now Matt Cardona trademarks the name Zack Ryder. Why is that influential? Because that's what he's used in WWE. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So what I like about this is you're kind of reclaiming your identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like he became big with this name, like on the internet, becoming the internet champion and gaming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then when you leave, you kind of got to start all over. Because fans are like, Matt Cardona? Who's Matt Cardona? Right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, especially if you don't go to like have a good lengthy run on like AEW, you got to reinvent yourself and hopefully your face recognition and your promos are good enough.
I think it's also one of them things where it's all about trademarks. Obviously, WWE had the trademark Zack Ryder. So if you can't get that, then obviously he's got to go by Matt Cardona or any name, whatever. John Morrison's probably a prime example of that one.
I wonder if them getting Chelsea Green kind of got him his name back. So sort of like, at least I get something out of it.
Yeah, I mean that's
Could very
plausible.
possibly could have been in the contract of Chelsea, and then my husband gets his name back.
So obviously now with obviously getting his name back, Zack Ryder. Do you think he'll show up at Royal Rumble?
Ah, that would be a weird waste of a spot, if you ask me. How many men are in this Rumble?
30, I believe.
Yeah, 30. That would be all right, I guess, if Zack Ryder was one of them.
The problem I've got is with this, a lot of fans are saying, is this the most built up Royal Rumble? And to me, it's just becoming so predictable what's going to happen.
Oh, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes is announced for the Rumble
Mm-hmm.
instead of being a surprise. What do you think about that?
I'm very surprised, to be quite honest with you. But then again, you could look at it where a lot of fans knew he were coming back at Royal Rumble. I mean, we said it on quite a few shows. Okay, he's going to come back at Royal Rumble. I still think he's going to be the one to dethrone Reigns, and I think it will be at Mania.
Yeah, you know what? The thing about Vince McMahon would have still milked it as a surprise.
Yeah, he would. But
Or you put some doubt into whether he's coming back. Vince was pretty good at that.
yeah, but Vince is not in charge though. Now you've got to remember.
I know, but just like it's one of those things where like you got kind of dropping the ball by not making it a surprise, in my opinion, because it's kind of like a Christmas present.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if it was a
You
surprise,
like if you somehow think you understood what your mother's getting you for Christmas
mm-hmm.
or your father, um, she can always say things to make you doubt whether you're getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is obviously wrestling. It's a lot different, Joe, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it. Even like if it wasn't a surprise, if it got told or not, I still think it was going to show up regardless. So it's kind of like taking the fun away, from my opinion. I don't know what
Yeah,
obviously a lot of other people think, but yeah, I do think he's going to return at Royal Rumble. I do think he's going to win it, and I do think he's going to go on to dethrone Reigns.
I think that that would be best for business, as Triple H would say.
There you go. There you go. So, right, we'll finish off obviously with our last story. The Rock says he might not have enough time to get in wrestling shape for Mania.
Now, when we say shape, we don't mean physical shape because he's obviously a monster still. Like he's still like on the set of all these different movies, and he's just like flexing, and his muscles have muscles. Uh, but I think he's talking about cardio.
Right. Okay. And so? When's Mania now? Is it March, April?
Yeah, pretty much, right? It's near the end of March, beginning of April-ish, right? Usually.
So you're telling me a guy of his obviously stature cannot get in shape for in what 3 months?
Yeah, like what the hell? It's like, is he trying to just throw a little bit of doubt in his return?
Yeah, and this is the thing though. I mean, obviously we just mentioned it there, Royal Rumble. Will he show up there? I mean, who knows?
Now, there's talk of splitting up the belts for Roman Reigns and having him defend twice.
For me personally, I would obviously just join both belts up to one. I'd do the same with the tag division. I just don't feel like
Well, the
having.
problem the problem with that, Liam, I mean, sorry, Mr. Magician, if that's your real name, is Raw doesn't have a champion,
Okay.
and the USA Network is getting pissed. So they need someone to be a champion, not the US title either.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you make a valid point there. Obviously, I was just thinking about it then, but obviously Reigns is not competing as much as you liked. I mean, we saw his thing from last year. He wrestled not as much as you thought.
You know, I like this. This is how I would book it. Total uh, shame on sort of the bloodline. They lose all their belts at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock wins one of them. Cody wins one of them, and then uh, Roman though goes on to reclaim it from The Rock.
Yeah, I mean
Isn't that a beautiful storytelling? Wouldn't I
that's
not
just
make a great booker?
you should be very good booker, very good. Call Triple H. Tell me,
I used to book AFW in its formative years. You know that, right?
I know that for a fact. So, but yeah, I could really see that. I think that would be best for business, as you mentioned.
All right. What do we
So
got next on the show?
So, have we got bull or truth?
That's right. It is time for us that big Brahma bowl, or is that smiling happy our truth? And of course,
Um,
who tells these stories to us?
this is, of course, the effing expert himself, Mr. Isaac. So, this is obviously where he tells us a story, and Canada Dry and I have to figure out whether it's bull or truth.
All right, so this is a special edition because it's being recorded on a Pyramid 2.0
Oh, interesting. Woo!
from our friends at Sabre. So here we
Saber.
go.
Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting and enthralling edition of Bull or Truth. I'm Mr. Isaacs. In high school, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board one night. We had done it before, and nothing remarkable had ever happened. We usually did it to try to scare each other or our girlfriends. We all thought it was a joke. That night, there was no one else home except the 7 of us, and we were all together around the board. One of the girls there wanted to try it. She had never done it before. This time was different. The board misspelled some of the words the same way every time. It gave answers that seemed really historically accurate for our town, things we neither knew or cared about. Long story short, the spirit claimed it was a 10-year-old boy who had died on the property in the 1800s and was buried there, too, in an unmarked grave. My friend's house was on a farm in the edge of town. We were all a little freaked out because the board had never been so detailed and consistent. However, we were still skeptical, and we were all assuming one of us was trying to scare the rest. Finally, my friend asked if the spirit could do something to prove he was there with us. It went to yes, and then spelled out KNOCK. Then the planchette stopped moving. We just all stared at it silently, and then there was a tap, tap, tap on the window right next to us. The lights were on outside, and there was absolutely no one out there. We never touched that effing board again. All right, gentlemen. Is this bull? Or is this truth?
So, I've got 2 points with this. First off, what a way to end it. We never touched that effing board again.
It's very brand savvy.
And then I was looking at the picture quality on that saber.
Oh, it's beautiful. I like how he covers the whole screen, even though it's a triangle. I don't know how they do it.
Very good, very good. Right, so as regards to the story, I know obviously a lot about Ouija boards, so I know how creepy they can actually be. I'm going to say this is true.
All right. I was already planning on saying this is true, so I'm not copying you. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not copying you. I'm going to say this is true.
We're not copying.
So let's pull up our Sabre 2.0 one more time and find out what the answer is.
Are we ready for the answer? This story, my friends, is true. This was posted on a Reddit forum for scary stories, true spooky stories, by a user named Excrement Cranium. This has been your week's Bull or Truth segment. Again, I am Mr. Isaacs, wishing you all a very spooky and happy and safe weekend. Goodbye.
Why did that laugh at the end sound like it giving up?
Make it dramatic is like just an extra, like, give me the Academy Award now, sort of thing. I want that award.
That was brilliant.
So, so we both got it right.
There you go. Yeah. Do you
Even
know
though I will say this, you copied me.
No, I didn't. You copy me.
What? How dare you? How dare you?
I just did.
Uh, that was a wonderful story, which leads us to
Main event.
it's story time with Canada Drive, baby.
Get ready for the magic.
Now, obviously, this is a part of the thing where we tell a story. Now we've covered witches, we've covered a lot of things. We've covered like
Pretty much
spooky
covered
things.
everything. I don't know what we haven't covered.
But
But
the thing,
let me just ask you this question, Mr. Magician.
okay.
When you hear that Canada Dry pour out there, does that make you have to go to the bathroom? Does this really kind of get you going?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But I also,
Like,
I'm
oh no!
and I'm also listening out for the second part where is my voice there?
Yeah, it's still there. They haven't deleted it. You're still good to go.
There you go. So, of course, today we're covering a mystery. I love a good mystery. Do you like a mystery?
I love a good mystery. Now, this is the Aurora mystery out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this predates Roswell by almost 50 years. Let me just check out. So this is we're going to be talking about the very first recorded. I don't know if it's the first, but this is like one of the craziest ones. So Roswell, New Mexico, was in 1947, and when this went down, it hit the media, and people were going crazy. It was like a sensation. People were panicking. They thought there was an alien invasion. People thought they were at risk,
Mm-hmm.
and so let's still have a little bit of a story to start this. So Charlie Stevens was a 10-year-old boy, and he woke up to his dad knocking on his bedroom door. And every morning, what happens, the same thing. His dad knocks on his door, and they get out on their horses, and they go out to round up the cattle. So on this particular morning, April 17th, 1897, at around 6 a.m., they began to have trouble with their horses. The horses wouldn't move any further.
Well, like frozen with fear, or just stuck.
Well, I think it was a bit of fear, was for sure, because
Mhm.
there began a humming noise. Yeah, we've heard this on a number of different occasions, revolving around UFO, right?
Mm-hmm.
The strange humming noise, and just take a little bit of water here. So Charlie Stevens got off his horse, and he went to his dad, and was like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And all of a sudden, in the sky, they saw the shadowy sort of, I guess you could describe it as a craft, an aircraft. And it was heading towards, they're out of town. So it was heading towards the town of Aurora, which is just a few miles down the road. It's where they go to get their, they go to town, they get their groceries and stuff like that. And as this thing went down, all of a sudden you heard a big crash. And there's a little bit of rumble, and the humming noise now stopped.
Okay.
And the boy wanted to go to town to investigate because he'd never seen anything like this in his life. The only thing he'd ever seen in the sky was a balloon, like at the county fair, like those those things you get in the you ride a balloon, go up and down, kind of thing. And he saw birds and all. That's about it. Insects. So he wanted to know what this was. But his dad's like, no, we got to finish rounding up the cattle, and then we got other business to do. So it wasn't until the next day that Charlie Stevens, when he went to town, saw what really went down. And what really went down is this aircraft, still calling it aircraft, crashed into the town judge's windmill.
Ooh.
Crashed right into it. All of a sudden, everything's on fire, and the authorities come to try and put out the fire, and they're seeing this just as a rescue mission from the start, as a disaster and a rescue mission, and everyone's
Yeah.
worried. They're trying to get the fire out, but they're not able to get to the person flying the craft until all the twisted metal and everything of aluminum and silver are kind of cooled down. And by the time they get to him, he's already dead. Now, they brought in the military to investigate what this was all about. So military officer Weens determines that the craft was not of this earth.
Wow.
So Weens also compared the occupant of the aircraft to to the size of a human child.
Right.
So it wasn't a size of a woman or a man, but a size of a human child. There were also strange markings on the ship, or UFO, we want to say by now. I guess we can call it a UFO.
Yeah.
There were strange markings on it that didn't make any sense to anyone. So they determined that this guy was, in fact, extraterrestrial.
Wow. Okay.
Now, at the time, this isn't very, very popular in pop culture at all.
I was going to say that was my next question. Was this around the time where sightings like this were like uncalled for?
Well, here's the thing. The Dallas newspaper wrote a story on a strange craft from outer space crashing in Aurora, Texas. And you'd think a story like that would go national, perhaps international.
Yeah.
But the rest of the country did not care and were not interested in the story.
That's kind of weird because you think something like that big they would.
Yeah, because look at what happened when Roswell, New Mexico thing. It was crazy, but you're talking about a different time.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if radio was frequented at this time yet.
I'm not too sure. I think I was a bit later.
Yeah, I think radio was a little bit later than 1897. So to me, one of the strangest things about this is the town folks and their behavior towards this UFO that crashed. A lot of people were acting like it was a tragedy and a sad thing that this alien died.
Right.
So they actually gave it a Christian funeral at their local cemetery.
Wow. Okay.
They had a local pastor who was passing by come do the service, and just the whole thing, Jesus and all that kind of stuff. God bless you and your eternal soul. You know how it is, right?
Yep.
But yeah, they got they buried some of the wreckage with him. and the rest of the wreckage they threw in the mayor's well when the windmill went down.
Right. Okay.
So they put markers on the grave, and they put markers on the crash site. But it would be another 80 years before the rest of the world would even care about this. And with that, I'm going to make the tag to you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, as Canada Drive rightly mentioned there, it was 80 years on. So we're going to fast forward to the exact 1973. A journalist goes by the name of Jim Maris visited the town to basically to get the facts, about obviously the entire crash. Now, as he was obviously looking around, he came across what was described as a stone marker. So like a marker, like a stone type marker, which is obviously you just mentioned there. Now, he actually believed that this was obviously the grave, for the actual the pilot. Now, the interesting thing about this is there was what was described as a saucer shaped thing, like engraved on the actual, basically engraved on the actual like rock. So that's just kind of weird on its own, thinking that there's actually just like a saucer type thing just engraved. Weird.
Absolutely. I guess they didn't know what his name was or what to give a name, so just put the shape of his spaceship.
Now, the interesting thing was that the actual rock itself was broken into two pieces. So this led him to believe that this area was like basically it's been like touched, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
Like it was touched by an unseen force, possibly.
Possibly. I mean, like it just describes that basically the rock was like broken into two pieces. That's all the thingy. Now, another investigator or journalist who goes by the name of Bill Case initiated his own investigation. Now, so this is like starting to build up. Now, Bill was obviously the head of the local branch of MUFON, and he actually brought his metal detector, which is kind of interesting. Now, obviously, as he's doing round trying to find the, stuff like that,
Right.
He came towards obviously the actual marker. We'll say marker, but we mean like the gravestone.
Right.
Now, according to obviously Bill himself, he discovered at least 3 sizable pieces of wreckage buried within the grave. Now, remember you obviously mentioned like in your story there that he actually buried some items. Yeah, and then obviously.
Sorry, I was just listening. Sorry.
Yeah, and then obviously now the interesting thing was Bill obviously wanted to excavate, obviously get the other pieces out, but unfortunately it was refused by church authorities to basically remove the metal. So I was asking myself the question, why?
Yeah, that is strange. Why would the church refuse this?
But this is where it gets really, really confusing. After the refusal, obviously Bill went back to wherever, I think he went back home. Bill would later find out that the grave had been excavated by unknown people, and the marker was removed and a length of metal pipe now buried under the ground.
So you're saying what they did was some authoritative people already went in there and replaced it with a pipe to get to let them know there's metal in there when you would do a metal detecting thing.
Basically, yeah. So the interesting thing is, obviously, Bill was refused, but yet, let's say authorities, I think that's probably the correct, terminology for that, obviously was able to basically dig the whole ground out. Now, the only thing Bill obviously wants to do was obviously look for witnesses. Now, a name which is obviously you mentioned really well was Charlie Stevens. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Yep.
That's the guy from your story. Now, at the time, he was in his 80s, and he obviously told the story of he and his father observed the object traveling north towards the town. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's basically what you described in your part.
Right at the beginning of the story.
So this is kind of weird because everything's like just seems to be connected. Now, and obviously another witness came forward, Mary Evans. Now, she was 15 at the time. And she came forward as apparently her parents had seen the body and the wreckage. That's the only information they haven't done on that one.
Yep.
So everything seems to be, like connecting, really.
Right.
Now, another magazine later on published a article apparently debunking the crash. And it was described as a fabricated affair, if you know what I mean by that.
So they're just what
Right.
do you have any more information on that?
Let me just have a look. Now, apparently, this article was based with an interview by a man named Hayden, and apparently, it was based on an interview with a local resident called Etta Pegwes, and I hope I've said that right.
So the resident is claiming that this never happened.
No, so she told papers leading up to 1897, town had suffered a catalogue of mishaps that included outbreaks of weevils, which is like destroys all like the plant type based, a large fire, and even like stuff like that. Now, Aiden desperate attempt to keep the town relevant. Now, apparently, Aiden Robertson wrote this fabricated affair to keep the town relevant because it felt like the town was like fading away, if you know what I mean. And then obviously the other last thing was Judge Proctor apparently never actually owned a windmill. Now, you obviously spoke about the windmill, which obviously the thing crashed into.
So are you saying, do you think that this is all a hoax?
I think the paper thing's trying to be like a cover-up.
Okay, so they found the right person to tell the right story, you think?
Yes. I think
So you think this is still true, but maybe the authorities came, told the church, listen, if you know what's good for you, you're going to deny anyone who asks to dig this up. We're going to replace that stuff with a metal pipe. And
yeah.
And then the paper comes along and finds someone willing to take some money to tell their version of a story.
Yep. So obviously, I do have a lot more on this one, by the way. So we're going to fast forward now to 2008. A documentary team named UFO Hunters managed to gain access to Judge's property, which was purchased from in 1935 by a man named Brawley Oates. Right, this name might be relevant later on. In an interview with his grandson, they learned that Oates had cleared the wreckage from the well, which you obviously, again, kind of leads back to yours, because apparently the materials were like contaminating the water and making him feel very ill. If that makes sense.
Yes,
and apparently,
absolutely.
And apparently, he blocked off the well with a concrete slab. So basically, the judge like cleared the whole well and then like just completely dug over it. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. They also showed him the actual the area where obviously the windmill would have been. Now, bearing in mind, this is the reason I think it's a cover-up. Is obviously in the article she said that Proctor never owned a mill, but yet his kids have actually showed obviously these people where the actual windmill would have been. So you kind of got like two conflicting type things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's all about money. If you got enough money, you'll have someone tell you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah. Now, I don't know why I wrote that one but now, as we mentioned earlier, obviously around this time, craft type traveling thing was obviously, making its way up. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people were obviously learning, and we're not just talking about in the area where we're talking. You're talking worldwide. A lot of people were obviously finding, but this obviously did happen. Obviously, with a lot of deaths. I mean, everybody knows the Wright brothers,
right?
So, just making sure I've got everything.
So this is right when the Wright brothers are starting to get their airplanes going.
Yes. Yep. I nearly said it. I nearly said the word. I'm not saying the word before.
What is the magic word?
You'll see later.
Okay.
Now, obviously, you mentioned earlier on like a not a hot air balloon. That's what a lot of people think. But as you mentioned again, a lot of people still firmly believe in the town it was extraterrestrial because throughout the 1896, the world was basically beset by a lot of reports. So these reports happen a lot more frequently. Do you know, like sightings?
Right.
But we're not talking obviously just in thinking. We're talking in the Western US, New Zealand, Australia, and the ironic thing is, it reached its peak with the start of the World War One. So everything's kind of like, do you know, connected a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the other thing I've obviously got is a lot of people, because apparently these people obviously had contact with like humans and stuff. And now they were described as speaking in a mysterious language, bizarre uniforms, and fleeing after being seen. Now, the German Air Force weirdly got a lot of flack for this because people thought this was obviously just something to do with them.
Right.
And the last thing I've got for this was a lot of people believe that the technology was so far advanced, for what they were seeing. It was actually the technology at the time was decades away. We're talking absolute decades away. So this is why a lot of people believe that it is actually extraterrestrial. And yeah, that's all I've got for that one.
All right, so I want to jump into my theory about where this UFOs are coming from.
Okay.
So you get the Roswell incident, 1940. I want to say 43. I think I said it earlier, 1947, and the world just goes ballistic over this. It's a big deal, but it
Yeah.
sounds like this Aurora UFO is seen by more people, and you have a Christian burial and all that sort of stuff. So you have this time where that kind of thing's only in at this time when this goes down in Aurora, is you only have this kind of stuff in books.
Yeah.
You're learning about this kind of sci-fi stuff in books, and that's it. So
Yeah.
the power of the imagination is limited to text.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Do you think, obviously, the Aurora type thing paved the way for obviously more sightings, stuff like that? Would that be accurate?
Yes and no, because I think Hollywood and all the movie producers really did that,
Okay.
because all these movies about these UFO invaders and all this stuff, uh, they kind of created this energy
Okay.
where I believe the satanic forces are masquerading as demons, and they're masters of copying things. Demons do not have the ability to create anything on their own. So what they're doing is they're taking something we created and using it against us.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair comment.
Yeah. So I've said my theory on a number of shows that I believe that aliens and demons are the same thing. And before alien abductions, it was demonic abductions, because no one ever heard of aliens except maybe in a few sci-fi books.
No. That's a fair comment.
So, yeah.
Do you think this is obviously a cover up, or do you think there's actually some truth to this?
I think that very paranormal that went on that the people didn't know what to deal with. I don't know if it was because I don't actually believe aliens are anything other than demons. So, what did they bury?
There you go. And why was it that obviously when somebody kind of like sniffed around, they kind of covered it up?
Yeah, so I definitely think that this is one of the things that was one of the very first UFO sightings and crashes.
No, I fully agree. I mean, it's very interesting. There's a lot of obviously conflicting information, but there's also a lot of reports. I'm sure there's obviously a lot we've not obviously covered today as well. So
I think that wraps it up. And I just want to say um, that this story time has been brought to you by
Pyramid 2.0.
Unleash the Power of the Pyramid.
Yep.
Saber, it's time to come home. Um, this thing, it's also a game system that you can
I can.
similar to the Nintendo Switch, where you can play these games on your TV, but you can also take it with you. It's also a computer, and this thing is amazing. Uh, I never thought that when you put this in your hand and you just kind of become addicted to it.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
you don't really believe in it until you touch it. This kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I know it's really, really good. I mean, it's absolutely powerful. I mean, I love the fact how much stuff you can do. And you can play so many games. You can watch anything. I mean, it's literally got everything you want right in your hands.
Yeah, and I love like no matter what you're watching, you'll get the vibrations of say Jeremy's voice when you're holding it.
Definitely.
So that brings us to our next segment, which is one of my favorite segments on the show. It is time for
This is awesome. So, this is the part of the show where we like to educate. Do you know what I mean? We're a very educational show, right? Is that correct?
education
For the nation. So, we're basically
for the
now
nation.
need to. I do not know why I said that. So yeah, this is part of the show where we get what have we learned from today's show? I'll let you go first on this one because I'm
You
actually
let me
struggling
go
here.
first. All right.
Yes, I'm struggling today.
Well, children, how are you doing today? No, I don't want to hear you complaining. Shut up. I'm asking you for it was one of those questions where I don't want an answer, so I don't want to hear you complaining. I want to hear about your teachers mean to you or whatever. So yeah, just listen. I'm gonna help you. So you're helping your dad on the farm wrangle some cows, and your horse is giving you a bit of trouble. Um, so here's what you do: get off your horse. You give it an apple. Get back on your horse. Ignore the flying saucer about to crash in the town, and just get your job done because your mom's making you a hearty breakfast, and she
Yeah.
she makes some mean scrambled eggs and bacon.
Oh yes, now you're talking. And that is Knowledge is Power featuring Canada Dry.
One of my weirdest ones yet.
Oh,
Just give your
right.
horse an apple.
Right. So kids, right? Yeah, you're out and about with your dad. Do you know what I mean? And you just like it's night time. Do you know what I mean? Having a steady walk with your dad, and you see something in the sky, right? And it looks odd. It might look like a weird shape. It might look like a oval. It might look like a flying saucer. Here's what you do, right? For one, don't look up, right? Do not look up because you'll never know what's going to happen. Yeah. Two, if you see any creepy lights, yeah, again, don't look up, right? And if you hear a humming sound, I've just got one simple thing to do: run, run home, and just never ever speak about it. And that is my knowledge is power.
Knowledge really is power. It's story time with
Did you just click the wrong one? Nobody noticed, right?
uh, you know, we can't have a perfect show. We have to have a flaw. It makes the show more artistic, right? When you
Yeah,
have
of course it does. Of course it does.
you have a goof up of here and there, and you call it a day. So
You just carry on.
yeah, yeah. So what we're gonna wrap up the show. Go
Of
ahead
course.
and tell them where you can find everything.
Of course. So you can head to effingwrestling.com. You can find all our social medias on there. At the moment, they're right at the very bottom, but I do believe we're going for a bit of a change, right? They're going to be at the top at some point.
At some point, yep.
Of course. And then don't forget, if you like shirts, we got shirts, we got loads. Right? You can head to prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling. You can get the all effing wrestling shirt, which the lovely Natalia Markova is wearing. You can get the Wrestling with a Paranormal shirt. You can get an AFW shirt. You can get the finger shirt there, which is, again, worn by Markova. But this is the interesting thing. Every shirt's blessed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is right. When I see you, every time I make a sale, they send me an email and I see your name and I will say a prayer for you that your life will be blessed and that you'll get good things and good things will happen to you as a result of buying a shirt. So if you like old school wrestling, you can also visit Pro Wrestling Tees /Adrian Adonis.
Adonis.
My favorite shirt is the adorable Adrian Adonis sticking it to us with the finger.
Yes, definitely. I've done so well. I've done a whole show without saying my magic word.
What's the magic word?
I'm not saying it because I'm not that stupid.
Anyways, so I just want to tell you that life is hard, but God is good. Remember to just keep fighting.
Go. Don't mind me looking at this here. Really?
Oh,
Do
what's
you know
on-
what? I've not said it the whole show, and it's on my list 4 times. I'm going to say it. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. There you go.
And I have some change for you.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. And remember to keep on wrestling with the paranormal.